I don't know what Game Freak needs to hear this video for this game to actually become a real thing for the Pokemon series, but we need a Pokemon game all about the fossil Pokemon, or just fossils in general. Imagine a game kind of like Fossil Fighters on the DS, which is an awesome game. If you've never played that, I highly recommend you picking up Fossil Fighters and trying it out. Anyways, it would be so cool if we had a Pokemon game, maybe set in like the prehistoric past, or like in the modern / future day, where it's like, we're in an old area that hasn't been discovered in, thousands of years, where there are dinosaur bones and fossils to excavate, which you would then use to put into a lab and then actually create a Pokemon out of it. Now, I think that would be awesome. The only downside to this idea, though, is that there aren't like enough fossil Pokemon out there to kind of make a whole game around this. So, dude, imagine like they did a whole, I guess, new game where they added like a ton of brand new fossil Pokemon, or even just like kind of made a bunch of existing Pokemon into a fossil Pokemon, if that makes sense. Like, take some of the designs of the current Pokemon and kind of like alter it a little bit for like a regional form, and put it into a game where it's all about fossils. And before we get to the rest of the video, if you guys don't mind leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, turning on the post notifications to help me reach my goal of 20,000 subscribers before the end of this year. Any support goes such a long way. Shout out to the member of the week, Gyatzy, you are the GOAT bro, and shout out to all my other channel members. Alright, back to the rest of the video. Imagine like a Fossil Frontier type of game that would kind of be inspired by Legends Arceus, where they're like different sections of the map. I mean, obviously all games have different sections of the map, but I feel like Legends Arceus did a really good job at making the one map have several different areas. So one area would be a volcano, one would be like desert badlands, another area would be deep jungles, and we have to use each one of these different areas and use different hammers, sonar scanners, excavation bots to uncover fossils and different buried artifacts like different Pokeballs, or just random things from, Pokemon's past, if that makes sense. It could also be a really cool game to have hybrid Pokemon. Now, Generation 10, I've seen a lot of people say that they want, like, hybrid Pokemon in that game, which that would be pretty cool. I don't know how they would really pull that off with it making full sense, but anyways, it would be cool for, like, a fossil version of that. So you can get, like, two different Pokemon and kind of fuse them together to create a brand new Pokemon. Now, this game would be extremely ambitious and kind of hard for them to make. Like, this would definitely take and require a lot of time and energy and just kind of good ideas to make it make sense. And now this would probably make the most sense as a mainline Pokemon game. However, since there aren't like a ton of fossil Pokemon out there to maybe like fill up a whole Pokedex, maybe this could be a heavily used idea / feature in a future game. Like, imagine Generation 10, where there's a whole area that we go to where we excavate different fossils, like a big area. And I don't mean like just a little tiny, small part of a town. Like, I mean like an actual huge area where it's all about fossil excavation. I think that way it would make more sense to have, all the fossil Pokemon that we have out of every single Pokemon out there. And it would make sense for us to be able to, use those Pokemon in that game. But the only way to access those fossil Pokemon is through the fossils that we excavate and dig up. And that could even uncover lore about the past. So, like, imagine Generation 10 is set in, like, I don't know, Greece or something. And then there's a small area where you can excavate. And then you find a bunch of different items and, old Pokeballs and stuff that kind of uncover cool lore. Maybe even, like, primal versions of Pokemon as well could be there. I think this would be amazing. Now, I've wanted a Pokemon fossil game forever, and I've actually been wanting to make a video about this for a long time, but there have been so many other things to make videos about Legends ZA, but now that the ZA leaks and hype is dying a little bit, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take advantage of this and make videos about topics that I haven't been able to talk about. And I think it would also be a good break from all like the futuristic tech stuff that we had in Generation 9, because Gen 9 had a lot of future kind of ideas with all the Paradox Pokemon and stuff. So what would be awesome is if, to where we can go back to our old handheld roots. And I would also love a Pokemon card fossil set to come out soon. Like, they have reprinted the first Pokemon set so many times, and I think they're doing it again for the 30th anniversary. Now, that's what I heard online, at least. So, anyways, it would be cool to have, like, this come out, and then alongside it, a Pokemon TCG set based on all, the fossil set, I guess. And we could even uncover brand new Pokemon that we've never seen before, like different prehistoric Pokemon that are outside of the recorded history, that have been buried, deep in a cave, or deep underground, or even like underwater, like on the ocean floor. Now, I've been wanting Dive to come back to where we could actually use it and go, swimming underwater. In an open world Pokemon game, I just think it could be such an amazing thing to have, because modern day Pokemon games are seemingly going to be all open world. So it would be so cool if we could not only explore the land in open world, but the water / ocean. The Paldea region was completely covered in water. I really was hoping that game would have Dive. And now, we probably reached a limit with that game, like because of the Switch's, capability and hardware and stuff. So that's probably why we didn't have dive, or maybe it just would have been too much. But man, I would have absolutely loved we could have that. So dude, imagine a Pokemon game where, we're digging for fossils, but you could also go and dig for fossils underwater. Like you use dive to go underwater to access certain caves that you can't access otherwise. Man, that would be something amazing. And if you need a better concept, like mentally in your head, of what this game could actually be, think of like Animal Crossing. If you've played Animal Crossing, we got to dig up fossils and go fishing and stuff, obviously, and hunt for different insects and everything, which that game is so fun. I cannot wait for the next Animal Crossing. I can't believe that game is already 5 years old at this point. That's insane to me. So dude, the next Animal Crossing is not even that far away, seriously. But anyways, moving on. So think of it like that, where you get to dig up and excavate different fossils. But imagine that in a Pokemon format where, you have to get maybe 20 pieces for this specific Pokemon, like Tyrantrum or something. You have to get like 20 or 30 pieces excavated to fully create this Pokemon, or even like 20 plus 10 pieces of a different Pokemon to like do a fusion kind of evolution. Something like that would be a really cool gimmick as well, because Generation 10 is obviously going to have a new evolution gimmick. Pretty much every single generation since Mega Evolution has had a new gimmick. As far as the evolution stuff goes, actually, I'm pretty sure every single generation has had a gimmick. But it would be cool to see if it was like a fusion thing that's mixed in with fossils. And now, Pokemon and Game Freak, I feel like have, in a small way, neglected the fossil Pokemon, but I feel like they also show them love every now and then. But it's not so often to the point where it's like, yeah, I know that Game Freak loves the fossil Pokemon. And I can't even tell you guys how many times I've had comments about people, bringing up the fossil Pokemon, like, we need more fossil Pokemon, justice for the fossil Pokemon. And dude, something like this would be such a good idea. Now, I would probably prefer it to be like its own standalone game that's set in the past, like a prehistoric Pokemon game, or maybe even like a future Pokemon game where we get to time travel in the past, and then we get to excavate all the, Pokemon and bones and whatever, and then go back to the future. I mean, there are really endless kind of ideas of what they could really do, because it's a story, so it's all up to the imagination of what you could actually do. But like I said earlier, I really do think it would make the most sense for it to be like an actual feature within Generation 10, or even like hopefully a future generation Pokemon game like 11, 12, or 13, which is insane to even think about, like Pokemon Generation 15. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But yeah, it would be awesome to have its own standalone thing within Generation 10. And if you guys don't already know, Generation 10 is probably coming out next year. That's like the big, theory, rumor, idea out there right now, is that it's going to be releasing on the Switch 2, specifically Generation 10, in 2026 for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, which I think would be pretty cool. I would hope it's out for the 30th anniversary, because that's a pretty big milestone right there. Cannot believe Pokemon is 30 years old. That seriously is insane. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, and give me your concept ideas or theories of what you would want for a Pokemon fossil game. Like, would you prefer it to be its own standalone game? Would you want it just to be mixed in within Gen 10 or 11, like its own kind of game mode almost? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and if you're real and watching this far in the video, comment down below French fries, just to confuse the people that are watching this far in the video. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're liking the new style of content, I'm trying to kind of make some new, unique videos. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to turn on post notifications. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.